Today I'm going to show you how to plane a board with a router. This is a handy little trick you can use if you don't have a planer. And the beauty of planing these boards with a router is you can plane some pretty twisty stuff that would otherwise be hard to get through a planer. And also most, home style planers are only going to fit about 13 inches wide. So in this case, I've got a little board that's about 2 feet wide that I'm going to use for an end table, and it's got a pretty good twist to it. So the things you're going to need are a router. This is your standard Bosch router with the plunge base. You don't need the plunge base, but it makes things a little bit easier. I put a 2-inch cutter on it. I'll put a link to the cutter that I'm using. You can use a smaller cutter, but with a big 2-inch you'll get the job done pretty quick. I've made a router sled, and it's basically got this cross member that you can slide back and forth. And then I've just used some scrap MDF and particle board to make a set of rails. And this is kind of a miniature setup, but if I were to do something bigger, what I'd do is I'd take a flat table and just clamp a set of rails down. It's just something flat. Last time I did it, I just used some 2x2 steel channel. And you can just cut something on a table saw to make some nice flat rails if you don't have steel channel. It's just what I had laying around. Now you can see the curve on this. And I'm going to set it, like if I were to set it upside down right now, it would have a wobble. So I don't want that. I'm going to set it with the cup part of the curve facing down. And it sits pretty tight. Now if one side were to wobble, I'd shim it so that it just stays flat for me. And then what I'll do is I'll just start my my router just a little bit high, and I'll just take a little bit off at a time. And you don't want to take too much at a time because it'll start to kind of gouge the wood. So just take a little bit at a time, especially when you get close to the end. And kind of like a milling machine, the direction of rotation is clockwise if I'm looking down at this. So I'm going to kind of work this direction, so it's kind of throwing chips this way. It's kind of pushing instead of trying to run itself up the board. This particular board doesn't have a lot of weight to it, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of two-sided tape on my rails here just to stop it from moving around on me. And we'll just lower it, make another pass. Now I've got one side pretty flat. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over before I get too carried away. Now I've got both sides pretty much flat, so I've got nice references on either side. And I've decided the other side is what's going to be my top. So rather than get all carried away on this side, I'm okay with this for the bottom. It's kind of cupped in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and just do a finish pass on the top here, just a kind of a thinner, lighter pass, and then we'll finish it up with the sander. And now I got a nice flat piece of wood to work with. Really that's all there is to it. You don't need too many fancy tools. Of course, a router, which is a lot more useful or versatile than a planer. And you can do stuff like this at home. If you like these kinds of how-to videos, make sure to click the little subscribe button below. And if you have any comments or little tips, mention in the comments below. Thanks for watching.